welcome to the Wise Immigrant podcast by Miss Immigrant USA. How are you, dear Yurina?
Hanging in there, hanging in there. Running for office. It's been hard. Actually, I can say with confidence, it's the hardest thing I've done in my life. Second to the CPA.
We would like to learn more about you and hear all the stories. During the Meet Your Candidate series of the Wise Immigrant podcast, we are bringing the candidates to learn how it is to run, who are the candidates. With you as well, I see a different story because those are mostly men. Women are kind of on the back, I don't know how to say that, on the back of all this democratic process that actually we should be part of. And as well, it looks like it's so much harder for us. We have not been seen as the go-getters, the strong ones, and somehow the people can trust us, that we care, that we can do the job. And I see this in you. You have such an amazing heart and passion, but after all, for you, the democracy starts from getting to the ballot and being there. There is so many obstacles against this, which actually is supposed to be easy. But before we get there, please share about your background, where you're coming from. You're from Cuba. When did you come? How was the experience of a new country, and how did you assimilate, if you did?
Yeah. Well, I came at the age of 18 because my dad, who I have never lived with, and actually sometimes was a little absent. He won a visa lottery exclusively for Cubans. So I had no idea that this was going to come to my life. And I am very glad I said yes. So I came on February of 1998 at the age of 18. Assimilating the country was really hard. When I first came, I saw a lot of concrete, but I was used to the historical buildings in Havana, different architecture, different style of living. And the culture shock was obviously there. It's funny how when you leave your country, all those things that bother you kind of become small, and then you only remember the things that you like, because then you miss them. And it was very hard for me, but I was young, so that helped me assimilate the culture a little better, I feel like, compared to people that come at a later age. And I came to Miami where there was a large Cuban community, but I didn't let that to stop me from learning English, which is a big issue for immigrants in the area, as we have such a high population of Hispanics.
It's
It's been
easy,
a
but
journey.
it's
It's
because.
been a journey, but I do feel like this is my country now. I've been here longer than I was in my own country.
Yes. Did you come to the United States by yourself at 18?
Well, my dad was already here. He came a few months before me, and then I came with him. But shortly after I came, I joined this program called Job Corps in Gainesville. And that was shocking for me too. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to learn at least Microsoft. Then there were kids in this program that were had to be there because the court said so. So it was a bit shocking for me. So I was there for like 5 months, and then I went back to Miami. And a few months, less than a year later, my dad moved to Orlando, and I decided to stay in Miami on my own at the age of 19. And I've been on my own since.
That's very brave. How do How do you think this influence on the person who you are? I mean, basically going into the adult world, becoming mature probably much faster than you should be in this age, have to take care about yourself?
My mom often say that she was really scared of me when I was younger because I had no fear. And that is not true. I do have fears, lots of fears. I just don't let those things stop me. And I always be very, very independent. So, and I guess I am not very comfortable in my comfort zone. So I always go out looking for trouble, looking for challenges, things that, you know, I could do, and why not? And
Mhm.
that's how I lived my entire life, and that's exactly why I'm running for this position. Because why not? I feel like we need more diversity and people with my background. We're resilient. I have the education. I have some of the life experiences of the people that live in my district, a lot of them, and why not? People need representation, different type of representation. They need to at least have the option.
What was the turning point where you made the decision to run for Congress?
For a while, I mean, I became a CPA because I felt it was a much more secure job, but I always liked economics. That's what I liked the most. And so I've always been aware of what's going on top of the news, creating my own opinions and ideas. And multiple people said before, you should run for office at one point. And I was like, heck no, I'm not doing that. Until I felt like I was losing this country too.
Wow.
And when I left Cuba, I was 18. I'm 46 now. So it's time for me to act on it, not just sit around. And to be fair, to be honest, I even considered leaving the country. So I was like, if I'm going to stay, I need to do something tangible to change the way things are, not just complain. I'm sick and tired of complaining. I wanted to take action. And I have what I believe, and other people give me the feedback, are interesting ideas of different ideas of how to solve some of the problems of the regular people, when it comes to the kitchen table, to their uh, quality of living. And that's why I decided to run for office. Also, because this is a heavily Latino district, 70 to 73%. 50% of those Latinos are Cubans. The incumbent is a Cuban American. His parents are Cuban. He was born in Fort Lauderdale, and he's been using that card to manipulate the Cuban community
Mm.
and get him to vote for him when he, in fact, gave the two thumbs up to Alligator Alcatraz, approved the funds for ICE, and is simply looking the other way.
You said that you feel that you are losing America, another country that you make your home. What do you mean by that?
When I left Cuba, when you're in the middle of it, sometimes you don't notice the things that are happening, right? After I went back to Cuba the first time, I started seeing, like, feeling like all these signs and slogans and propaganda that I was so used to started suffocating me. I started understanding the effect these things have in people, and I see in the same things now. Like, you can see all this, like, Trump library that they're trying to do in Miami, the Trump um, Kennedy Center, and his banners and his name everywhere. I started seeing the same thing, the centralization of power, the same traits, because I am a person that pay attention to trends. And I knew where we were coming, like what was going to happen. The only thing that I missed is I didn't realize how fast this was going to happen. I thought there were going to be a few more checks and balances, and people, those institutions that are supposed to balance the power of the presidency, like Congress and the Senate. But they just sat on their hands and decided not to do anything. So I had to act. I had to act. The similarities, like people go by right, left, communist, ultra right, or it doesn't matter. The playbook is exactly the same. Once we remove the slogans, the titles, then we can see what's really going on, and it frightens me.
You mentioned that this person who's running as well for the same position, he's manipulating the Cuban community. Can you elaborate about the manipulation and probably that's happening in more of immigrant communities and why this is happening actually?
Well, since Donald Trump's popularity has sunk, they are creating this what I call a wall of smoke to make people believe that they're working and free in Cuban. And just Cuban, just a couple of days ago, he and the two other Cuban American Congress people in South Florida were celebrating the indictment of Raul Castro. Raul Castro is no longer in power. He's 94 years old. And he's getting some people to even hope that the United States intervene in Cuba,
Mm.
occupy Cuba, and people are losing the perspective is that the Cuban people in the United States have lost their status. They're not being allowed to adjust to the Cuban Adjustment Act, which does not specify which way they need to be admitted to the United States. And basically, after being here for 1 year, 1 day, we should be able to apply for a green card. And that's not happening. Alligator Alcatraz is a place where a lot of my fellow Cubans, as well as other immigrants from other countries, and let's know that because that hurts as much, are being thrown at, and the conditions there have been so poor. Just a few weeks ago, another Cuban died in one of the detention centers because he committed suicide. The trauma, the torturing that these people are being exposed. And I just think, like, is this is how they treat us here in the United States? How do you think they're going to treat our people in Cuba?
Mhm.
And they're just making, because people are so desperate because of the length of the regime and how bad things have gotten, which, by the way, they gotten worse because of the sanctions of Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and this regime. I'm like, I don't want these people next to my family in Cuba because they think it cannot get worse. It actually can. It actually can. And as much as I hate the dictatorship in Cuba, let's be honest, these are Cubans on Cubans. Now we don't want to bring a third country to the table to make things worse. No, no, no. And they're just, people just wanted something to happen, whatever it is. So that's how they're getting people to get excited. But some and a lot of people are skeptical, and not just skeptical. You cannot support someone who's taking your significant other, your kid, away and put it in a detention center, and perhaps trying to deport him to Cuba, where some of the people that got in here running away from that regime are being tortured right now because they were returned to the same country.
I saw in your videos that you're struggling with getting on the ballot. Can you tell us a little bit about this and why do you think this is happening and what can be done in order to make the election process more accessible to everyone and that actually this stage should be maybe have a reform?
The fees to run for Congress in Florida are set by the state, and it's 10,400 uh, if you're running with a specific party affiliation, 6,000 something if you're running as an independent. The moment I decided to run, I thought the party was going to rally around me and at least try and work with me to get some of those petitions. And yes, that happened in the area of Collier County, but unfortunately in Miami, it feels like everybody's concentrated on District 27. And I've been thinking, and I don't want to make it about gender, but I have to. There's three Congress people in South Florida and Miami that are Cuban Americans and they're not necessarily doing the best job. But out of these three people, the Congresswoman of District 27 voted to approve the extensions of the ACA. She's even trying to come up with this Dignity Act that I think is a total theater, but she's trying that. She voted yes for the TPS. Yet, she is the weakest link, the weakest position. And why is that? Like, because it's not like the other two are any better. And I heard comments from people within my party, like, you have to prove yourself. Have to prove yourself means raise those funds. Someone in the party, like at the very beginning, said, oh, you should go and open your PAC and then go to Baptist. I'm like, well, if I go to Baptist, they might not necessarily like what I propose to them because they are one of those who are benefiting from the humongous cost of healthcare in the United States. And I do believe that one of the biggest problems that we have in politics is the big pockets, like the interfering with our elections. My opponent, which is incumbent for this district, has been in power for 23 years. He has received over $1 million from APAC. And if you look at it, there's about 1.7% Jews in this district. So when these people are funding this campaign, they're not funding it because they want the congressperson to look after the constituents, but after other interests that might not even have anything to do with the constituents. So raising those funds, getting the confidence, let me just not forget about it. There are several Cuban influencers that I have personally met outside Alligator Alcatraz in protest and share my contact. They have interviewed every single male candidate, but they have not interviewed me. And if it's not about gender, then I don't know exactly what it is about. But we usually hear terms like that, or people just tell you, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're talking without a base. But that only happens if they have a woman in front of them. And that's what makes it difficult when you don't have that support. If I get to Congress, I'd like to use my influences to create, first we need to reform those campaigns so the big money cannot finance those campaigns, so the Congress people, the representatives actually represent the constituents and not other interests. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to create, even you could call it a scholarship or a grant, to get regular people, normal people, those that have not proven themselves, those that don't have all the dots in a row to run for office. Because sometimes when you have all the dots in a row, you're going to care about more about keeping those dots in a row than about the people that you're representing. So we need regular people with a regular experiences. So I'd like to create something like that to get some of these candidates started, at least being able to be in the ballot. Because if I don't get my name in the ballot, there's another person that recently joined the race. She's a Caucasian lawyer. There's a lot of Caucasian lawyers in Washington, D.C. This is a heavily Hispanic district. If we don't get a Hispanic representative in Congress, then we lose representation. So we need to encourage like people from regular, normal backgrounds, like different backgrounds, like from nurses to engineers to farmers to anyone that comes to the table, because each and every one of us is going to bring a different perspective and a different life experiences that will complement each other and work best for the people.
Do you think that it has something to do that with your immigrant background, that people may be looking at you differently as well?
I don't know if it could definitely be. But in this case, I feel more that it's my gender, because us being such a heavily migrant city in
Mhm.
district, there are so many other candidates that have the same background that I have, but the only thing that differs between us is gender.
What do you find the hardest? This is your first time running for office, right? What
Yes,
what do you wish you knew before you get yourself into this race?
I knew it was going to be hard. But again, I thought the party was going to do more to at least give a platform, because I know the party locally cannot support one candidate over the other one. I was the only candidate for a while. There has not been even one single candidate for her in Miami. So I thought I was going to have more support and structure around me for someone that has never run. uh, on the other hand, there were things that I didn't know that could happen. Like, I told my employer in October that I was running for office. Why? Because I'm going to be posting in social media and I don't like lying. I am blunt and honest, and that's it. And a month later, I was let go from my position. So the and I literally drive my 401k and all my funds. Uh, I thought I was going to get more support from the community. And I have got some, because I'm not going to lie to you. There's been those times where I feel like I'm going to drop. People keep asking me, begging me not to do it because they feel like they need someone like me, someone who speaks true, and someone that is authentic. And I share with the people in my media everything, when I'm high, when I'm my highs and my lows, and my vulnerabilities. Because what people often think, that if you're empathetic, if you're vulnerable, you show your vulnerabilities, you're weak. And honestly, it's much easier to show an image where everything is right. And I myself was one of those people that did not ever want to show my vulnerabilities. And I think getting over that, it makes me stronger. When you know who you are, how you are, where you're standing, and you're able to face all those fears and share with the people. Because I'm also sick and tired of this image that, oh, I have everything figured out. I'm in control. Listen, none of us do. I don't have anything figured out. I'm here to work with the people, hear them, and work together. And people need to understand, those days that they feel down and hopeless, there's other people that feel like that as well, because we're feeling very disconnected and very lonely in this country, because we think everybody else is doing different, and it's not true. And those connections, that's actually been the best part of the campaign. If I didn't have the money problem in meeting people, connecting, oh my god, that has been, I mean, I spent all my savings. I'm sleeping in my friend's living room in an air mattress. If it wasn't for the money, everything else, going out there, meeting the people, talking to the people, has been so fulfilling. As much money as I was making before, and I can certainly go and find a job and do that again. I I didn't feel like my life has purpose as it feels now.
Yes. Many people, when they say the word immigrant, they think in legal terms. If somebody is legally, if he's a citizen, not citizen. But at Miss Immigrant USA, we talk about the immigrant identity. We also talk about the sacrifices we all have to make, the culture, the belonging. And my question for you is, what does immigrant identity means to you?
It means the ability to integrate without losing my roots, my history. But I often see myself like a multi-layer cake, right? So I was this one thing, and I have been adding more to it to the point that right now I feel more like a citizen of the world
Mhm.
because being surrounded by so many immigrants here in the United States and have traveled so much because I like traveling. I've been to 29 countries and oftentimes I go alone. I'm a little crazy like that. But it has let me understand all the things that we have in common. And here in the United States, we're so lucky that we're exposed to so many cultures. And I truly love and embrace that. So being an immigrant is having a base that is your ethnicity, but then being able to put all these different layers on top of it.
Mhm.
That's how I feel. Like a cake, a
I love
multi-layer
that.
cake.
I love that. I love that. What, by the way, what's your favorite Cuban dish?
uh, I like vaca frita, which is like shredded meat, but you kind of fry it both sides and with white rice and then some sweet plantains.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorites.
What do you think immigrant women can do more in order to get involved in their community activities and be active basically and get involved into politics, which basically is um, influence our own life?
I always say that for uh, any group, and sometimes I think about minority groups, but in case of women, well, immigrants or women will be a minority group. The ways that we have to advance is through education and representation. And despite all the barriers that have been put on us, like I was very proud to find out that after COVID, the group that saw the largest economic and wages increase were the Latino women because we're going out there for those jobs. Uh, I think that women are doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's society that's still pushing back, but I see more and more women, actually, more women are graduating from college than men are. So
Yeah.
we're doing our job. We just have to make sure that the world understand our worth. The men start treating us with respect and not dismissing what we're talking about as if we did not have the information or we didn't know. Because the way they talk to us, they wouldn't talk to another man. We just have to keep going for these positions, occupying these positions to change their minds. And it is changing little by little, but it's going to take, there's always resistance to change. And that's what we're facing, but it's inevitable. That's the one thing in life that is certain change.
Right. Our only hope is that it would go faster.
I agree. And now we've seen that actually it's gone backwards because of overturning Roe versus Wade. Like we don't even know a clear view of how this is affecting the already high maternal mortality rates in the United States.
Mhm.
So it feels like we're going backwards. I think a lot of what's happening is from fear to change. People resist change, although it's inevitable. When you resist it, you don't stop it. You might try to delay it or make it more painful and difficult for the people. And it's because of fear that they do this, but change is inevitable. So we need just to keep pushing, and all the things that they're trying to do is to back that, but nothing will stop us. Nothing, absolutely nothing will stop us. And I have met a lot of great women that are running for office that I'm very proud of, and women that I'm working with, and make me very, very, very proud. And there's a few of them that I aspire to be like them.
We are living in the social media era and like where everything is so polished, And now the campaign, everyone taking beautiful pictures and videos and production. And it seems like the human touch and the who we really are outside
It's
of the
get
camera.
filtered. It's filtered.
Yes, it's so much filtered, and your campaign is so real. And I feel like we need more people like you who are just showing, hey, there are better days, there are worse days. That's how it is. The campaign is not just glory and pictures, but as well, how do I get on the ballot? How I raise more money? How I get more signatures? And we women are much more vulnerable. We feel more. Um, so how are you dealing with all this pressure on you?
When I focus on something, I am like a train. I go for it. I have walked into a barber shop in Hialeah, which is then historically being pretty rare. And I go like, I am a little afraid of being here, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Like, this is me, and I'm running for Congress as a Democrat. And sometimes I got harsh responses. I just keep pushing because unlike what people think, I do have a pair of ovaries that get me through.
Yes, yes, I love that. We are on Wise Immigrant podcast. What wisdom would you share from yourself to inspire others and especially to inspire women to take the charge and go for it?
We need education and representation, and we need women to believe in themselves. Don't let other people tell you what you should or should not do, what you should say or think. Go for it. You're going to make people uncomfortable, and that is okay because that's how we drive change. The more we are, the more trust they're going to have in us, the more they're going to depend on us. This is our world. This is the world for our children, and we must fight for it. We must fight for it because if we don't, no one's going to do it for us.
Yurina, where the audience can learn more about you?
You can follow me on social media on TikTok and Facebook threads and Instagram. And you can also go to my website, the campaign website, which is www.urinagil4u.com.
Yurina, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your story and the life experiences, and we wish you the best luck in whatever you decide to do.
Thanks so much. It was my pleasure. And thanks so much for giving women a platform and Latinos and immigrants and other people a platform so we can get to more people.
Yes, this is the idea to bring the stories of immigrants, the belonging, our ups and downs, and just push it forward for a better life for all of us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.